Dexter, how are things, man? What's up, man?
Good. I'm doing better than the Knicks right now. I can tell you that. I'm doing better than them.
Devastating loss, man. What were your biggest takeaways from it?
Man, game four. I'm trying to remember, make sure I have my games right. I feel like this series has been so long and so weird and wacky. Uh, look, game four some people are going to say officiating. It didn't come down to that. There was some bad officiating in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Um, but this team just didn't defend well from the start. They turned the ball over 17 times. And listen, they made enough shots to start this game. They were hanging there with the Pacers. I think some of it is on that. I think some of it is on a little bit of coaching. I thought Tom Thibodeau could have went back to his defensive lineup earlier. The real struggle with this Knicks team, and I think what's really been exposed, if you want to say in the playoffs, not really exposed because we knew this, is that their two best offensive players are their two weakest defensive players. And when you are playing them both at the same time, the numbers aren't good. When you have one of them with better defensive players around them, the numbers are good. And so you have to try to stagger those minutes, I think, as best you can. That's an adjustment I think Tom Thibodeau has not fully been willing to make. He's made some adjustments in the playoffs. We saw the switch everything defense in Boston. We saw him finally, game three, go to a nine-man rotation. He did some of that in game four, but would have liked a little bit more. I think combo, this comes to my criticism that I always have had a little bit of with Tom Thibodeau, which is I'm not the guy who's like, he doesn't play young people, because I feel like that's not true. Young players, that hasn't been true. We've seen him do that. I'm not somebody who thinks he burns players out and gets them injured. What I do think, though, is he doesn't go deep enough in his rotation that he's able to look at different lineups and different combinations so that if you need it in the playoffs, you're ready. He doesn't use the regular
Yes,
season as
I
effectively
agree.
as I think he could with his roster. And I think you have all these guys on the roster play 10 guys during the regular season so that when you get to the playoffs, a Landry Shamet is ready. Maybe it could have been a Tyler Kolek or a Pacome Dadier in case you need him. That's what Rick Carlisle's able to do, and he's able to steal minutes. And with the Knicks, particularly the way they're designed, because I said their two best offensive players are their worst defensive players, you need to stagger the minutes. And now when you have guys who haven't played in lineups together, they have small sample sizes, the cohesiveness is not there. But had you played them during the season, you might have got some of that cohesiveness when you have to play a DeLon Wright, when you have to play a Landry Shamet and other guys in there, as you should. You have to against the Pacers, because what I think we're learning in these playoffs, and we should have learned this the last couple of playoffs, the upper echelon teams in the NBA, you can't, they're playing 9, 10 deep in the playoffs. This idea of playing 7 and 8 in the playoffs is gone. The league is way too talented. It's way too deep at the top rosters. You have to play more guys. And I think the Knicks have to be ready for that. I've said it before. They had to fix their depth going into next season. They're going to have to address that. And they're going to need a coach that's going to buy into the depth too.
I think we talked about this a million times on your show, on my show, that, Tibbs is rigid in his ways. And if he doesn't want to play his guys, they just won't be ready in the regular season. I mean, another thing is that we could get to Josh Hart in a minute, but
Yeah, he was terrible.
Mikal, yeah, he was terrible, but I think Mikal Bridges might be more frustrating than him. When he has easy money at the rim, he, for some reason, reverts to fades and weird hooks. And this summer, man, he just needs to rep out finishes and maybe play one-on-one max with all layups and dunks. I don't know. He just doesn't like getting easy money at the rim at times.
That's the most maddening part of his game. Because here's the thing about Mikal Bridges, if you look at his game, particularly last night. Now, I know I think he had 4 threes last night. He was 4 or 5 from downtown. And that's what's frustrating. He had one of those threes was late. He also took some ill-advised shots down the stretch of the game. I think that were out of rhythm for him. Um, but early in this game, he had some fantastic mid-range looks and just missed them. And look, that's going to happen. But the more frustrating thing is what you just said. It's not the middies. It's he will drive, get about 8 feet from the basket. He will not go all the way because he does not want the contact. And Mikal Bridges is talented enough to me to go and finish and get that contact. And I think it would do wonders for his game if he did play that way, because he'd get to the line a little bit more. This is the lowest he's been to the line in his career this season, but he's been avoiding contact. Early in the season, you and I talked about this. he was avoiding contact on defense, which was frustrating to me because he wasn't fighting through screens. Now that's gone away, and he's been really good defensively.
Has it totally gone away? Because Knicks fans are complaining to me about that.
I thought yesterday he got, his assignment was Halliburton. Halliburton cooked him. There's no ways of putting it about that. I thought he gave Halliburton a little bit too much space, but for the rest of the series, he's done a good job on Halliburton. Halliburton's a really good player. He's going to, these great players are going to go off for one game. They're going to get a game. You know what I mean? Like, Mikal Bridges on defense has been fine to me in the postseason. That's not my problem. And on offense, he's been really good at times, too. We could talk about Game 6 against Detroit. Game 4 against Detroit, he was really good in the fourth quarter. There's been times he's come up really big. Game 4 against Boston. Game 6 against Boston. Game 2 against Boston. He was really good. But he's been frustrating. It's been an inconsistent year for him. I agree with you. This summer, somebody's got to get in his ear and say, you are going to help this team out.
And yourself out. Yeah.
If your offensive game is a little bit more diverse. Mikal Bridges can cook in the mid-range. He has not shot the ball well in this series. That's a criticism. I think he's shooting 33% from downtown. I think he's shooting 43% from the field in this series. So he has not shot the ball well, but a lot of that is because he's left money in the bank. He's sold out a bunch of times, and he's missed some easy finishes. Or the most frustrating thing for me is he'll drive, he'll go under the basket, and instead of ever going up for a strong reverse, he'll just turn around and he's fading away from 8 feet.
Right. He's not taking what the defense is giving him at times.
Yes.
That's all. Yeah.
Yes. That's the problem. That's the problem, Andrew. He's not taking what the defense is giving him. And I think he's a much more talented player than that. I'm not somebody who's going to get into the picks the Knicks gave up for him because it's a sunk cost. The price was what the Brooklyn Nets wanted the Knicks to pay. They paid the Brooklyn tax. It is what it is. It doesn't mean – I think the Knicks – in how they tried to structure the team was the right way. Getting Mikal Bridges, getting OG Anunoby, 2 good wings. I think they're both still 2 good players. I have a feeling Mikal Bridges will be more comfortable in year 2 with the Knicks than he is in year 1. I still think he has some adjusting to do, but I don't want to kill him because he's been better in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. Definitely has been. I know last night everybody's not feeling good about that. Was he worse than Josh Hart though, Combo?
No.
I
mean, because the turnovers lead to easy offense, and that's what the Pacers thrive on.
Yes. You can't have 5 turnovers. Josh Hart did. Josh Hart also had about 4 blown defensive assignments where guys beat him backdoor, which you never see from him. And I
have a feeling Josh Hart is hurt. And with that said, is it more on Josh Hart or more on Tibbs though that this happened last night?
That you mean his poor play last night? Is it more?
Well, I mean, maybe just there should be less minutes for him at that point when you see him doing what he's doing.
Here's the problem, particularly with last night. Mitchell Robinson is in there, and you put him in the starting lineup because Mitchell Robinson is supposed to be the rebounding guy. Now, Mitchell Robinson hasn't been bad in this series. He's just been okay. He hasn't been what he was against Boston. Boston, he was a game changer in terms of how he was rebounding the ball. His rebounding in this series has been okay. He had a stretch on Game 4 in the second quarter. He had 4 offensive rebounds. You saw his value there. But if Mitch doesn't have it, you need the rebounding from Josh Hart. And Tibbs values rebounding so much. The Knicks won the rebounding battle in Game 4 by 10, 43-33. But here's the problem. If Josh Hart's giving you the rebounds, but he's losing you possessions, as you know, Combo, basketball is a game of you're trying to win as many possessions as possible. When you're giving away 5 turnovers, and what was it? They had 17 turnovers, led to 20 Pacer points. That's not going to help. Do I think it's minutes with him? Could he be hurt? Maybe. Josh Hart's the kind of guy he's never going to tell you.
I feel like it's one of those, Russell Westbrook came out and said he's going to go through 2 surgeries. I feel like after this series, something like that's going to come out. That's just my prediction. And me and you are good with predictions, Dexter. We've landed a lot of them.
You've had some good ones. You've hit on some good ones.
Yeah, and I hope he's not hurt. I'm just saying. He doesn't look like him to me. That's all.
Yeah, after he was, I mean, there's an argument in the last round. He was the most consistent Knick. Against Boston. I thought. Right. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's minutes. He could have just tweaked something. I have no.
Yeah. You just bringing up that Celtics series brings up all kinds of thoughts in my mind that this Pacers team presents very unique challenges, even different than the Celtics, because Celtics are going to go drive and kick. They're going to get into their isolation bag. But this Pacers team makes you think more on defense, and that's been the biggest issue for the Knicks defensively.
And I agree with all that. And to that point, Combo, when you build a team saying, "Oh, we got to beat this one team,"
yes,
and they built the team to beat the Celtics, and the Knicks are designed with their wings to match up well with the Celtics. And listen, they caught some breaks probably with Porzingis not being as healthy as he was. I don't think the Tatum thing was a break for them because they were winning that game anyway.
Yeah,
and they were going to
I agree.
3-1. But look at, my co-host Brian Fonseca had said this, and he makes a great point. Sometimes you build your team to beat a specific team, and you're able to, but then you run into another team that might be not necessarily a bad matchup, but a tougher matchup, and you're not able to adjust what you need to do to beat that specific team. The great example is Minnesota last year. They built a team with the two bigs to contend against Jokic and Denver, and they beat Denver. But then when it came to Dallas, and Dallas had Luka and could spread him out, it was a different ball game. So there's a couple things there. Either you don't have versatile enough personnel to beat multiple teams on your way to a run, or coaching has to adjust to, okay, when we play this team, we got to change this up a little bit. We got to change our personnel to adapt to this team. I think the Knicks have two issues. One, it could be coaching personnel and willingness to adapt. The other thing could be, well, it's not could be, it definitely is. The Knicks have a depth issue. We knew this all year. We knew this team had issues with depth, and they had to get better in that regard. That's something, I don't want to say the series is over. A team has not come back from 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals since 1981. Maybe they're due. Maybe they could get it done. They got to start playing a lot better. If they're even going to force a Game 7, they got to play a lot better.
Yeah, you mentioned Halliburton's superstar performance. You didn't call it a superstar performance, but I will, Dexter.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is.
And, when I compare Halliburton and Brunson, it's kind of like playing with fire when it comes to Knicks fans. But my thing is when I watch these two players play, and I don't know how you feel about this, it's kind of like the difference to me when you're talking about Jokic and Embiid, because Jokic has a residual effect on the game. He makes everybody around him better. Let's say me and you are talking on the phone, right? We're talking Knicks. It doesn't really have a residual effect. People can't share it. Nobody else hears it. It only benefits you and me. If we do a podcast together, though, people could share it. People could share the IG Reels. People could share the podcast. When Halliburton plays, he's making everybody around him better. He's sharing the basketball. Sharing leads to sharing, just like us having this podcast. Do you see that when you're comparing these two players, even though Brunson is the better overall scorer and the better clutch shot maker?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you just said. I mean, I think if you're denying that, if people are against your point, I mean, I think it's factual, but if they're against it, I think it's more of like, there's some basketball fans who it's about the vibes for a player or how it makes them feel. And I get Brunson makes you feel a certain way with the footwork, with the clutch shot making.
Yeah.
Halliburton, let's put it like this. His best game is normally not even what we see last night. The high assist total should not shock anybody. I think maybe the 30-plus points is what's a little shocking with him, because that's really not his bag, the scoring. But he can do it if he's needed. And the most impressive thing to me about that is not just the high assist numbers, it was the 0 turnovers.
On 30-point triple-double on high efficiency with 0 turnovers is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
on a night where only Siakam was cooking else for them, and they really did. Well, Ben Mathurin had 20 points in 12 minutes, and that was huge, right? But Halliburton is more of a player that gets people involved. That's not shade to Brunson. That doesn't mean Brunson isn't dope. We saw Brunson had a 10-assist game in Game 2. It's crazy because I didn't even feel like he had a 10-assist game in that game. I didn't feel like it was snuck up.
Right.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I just think people are gonna. I think some people either if they don't think Halliburton is that good, because I remember before the series said to me, did I think Halliburton was a star? And I'm like, yeah.
A star is not the question. That's not even the question.
They were looking at me like I was crazy, and I was like, look, man, Halliburton he had a down year last year, right? Because he was dealing with some
injuries. Yeah,
he wasn't healthy. But if you looked at how he was playing before that, and then look at how it took him and the team till about the January mark of this season, till they finally hit their stride, Halliburton's really damn good, man. But because he's not the sexy scorer,
Right.
I think people don't appreciate his game as much sometimes. And there's a lot of other guards he's better in this league that some people may feel another way about. Like, I'll throw one at you because somebody threw it at me this morning. If I told you, who do you think is more impactful to winning? Tyrese Halliburton or Ja Morant? Who's more impactful?
Tyrese Halliburton.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Ja Morant makes people feel a kind of way because of the game.
Yeah, and I think Ja is a generational talent. Actually, it just hasn't totally materialized yet for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, some of it being self-inflicted with him, right?
Right, right.
Halliburton is so impactful to winning, and I've always been high on Halliburton. This is not me coming out of nowhere. I wanted the Knicks to draft him.
Me too. I said it. There's receipts. Yeah, there's receipts I have for that for sure. Yeah.
Now it's fine. They ended up with Brunson, and it's fine. I don't think it was like some. I mean, it was a mistake because they took Obi Toppin, who now it's funny they're teammates on the same team. But I thought they should have taken Halliburton. I thought Halliburton was a good player. I liked his shot. I liked his control of the floor. He's always calm. He's not rattled. There's a lot I like about his game. I like that he embraces the villain role with the stuff with the Knicks. I love that too. Even though the Knicks fans hate it, it's good for basketball. So I like Halliburton's a tremendous player. That's not slight to Jalen Brunson. He's not the scorer Jalen Brunson is. He's not the clutch player. I won't say he's not clutch. He's not as clutch as Jalen Brunson. Because Tyrese Halliburton, I've seen him hit some big shots.
The series. Yeah, the series. Yeah. The series.
So, but I just think sometimes people like that. They like the player that's a little more the alpha and is going to take the ball and score. But that doesn't mean that that's the best player for a team, though, all the time, especially in today's NBA.
I think when you don't have that quality, I think you almost have to defy the odds. Like, I think Kobe and Jordan are so great because they don't really hang their hat on making those around them better, right? But they're so great that they defy the odds of that, and they can kind of like take a game totally over by themselves, not only in the clutch, but the whole basketball game, you know?
I think how you take a game over today, Combo, is so different than it was before because the talent in the league is just, it's as I was talking before about, so deeper. Like, if we think about it, in this playoff run, the entire playoffs, there really hasn't been like that one series where like one player has just dominated through. I mean, you might argue it's this series with OKC and Minnesota, where SGA is having a pretty dominant series. He's had, 30-plus points?
Now, he had 40, but it was like a quiet 40. Felt like he had 23.
Right. It's like loud, like, because I just think that it's harder to just be that super alpha guy where there's so much more talent than ever before in the league. And you need the way you can dominate is almost a little bit the way Tyrese Halliburton did last night. The way Jokic has done at times. It's can you be super efficient? Can you set other people up and not turn the ball over? Can you consistently win your team's possessions? That's what Tyrese Halliburton helps the Pacers do.
Is this series over? Are the Knicks cooked, Dexter Henry?
I don't think so. I think the Knicks will win Game 5. I do. I also thought they would win last night. Thought they would win Game 4. So what do I know? Game 6 is the problem for me. Indiana's really good. If the Knicks win Game 6, then all the pressure's on Indiana. All the pressure's on Indiana. But I think they will win Game 5. I think they'll force a Game 6 back in Indiana on Saturday. I can't tell you what will happen there. I would favor Indiana at home, the way they've played, the pace they've shown. But the Knicks have won a road game in the series, so they could feel confident they could do it. Look, Knicks have to win 3 in a row. They got 2 of them at home if they can do it. It's not going to be easy. I don't think that they're cooked. They're not cooked. But you're thinking about turning down the heat on the frying pan. You know what I'm saying? Like you're thinking about that because they're almost done. You know, and they don't have margin for error. So anything could happen. Are the Knicks capable of winning 3 in a row? Absolutely. They have enough talent to do it, but I think they have to clean a lot of stuff up, namely turnovers, shot selection, and also diversity of rotation. I think has to be better going forward.
Any keys for you specifically for this team to win 1 game at a time, but 3 times?
Yeah. Obviously, first key is like you want to do that. You want to take it 1 game at a time. You cannot think about getting to a Game 7. You have to think about a quarter at a time, a possession at a time. That stuff sounds cliche to the audience, but it's true. I think, but the main thing is you got to take care of the ball. self-inflicted wounds. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. You have to take care of the ball. I thought that killed the Knicks last night because I don't think the Pacers played an amazing game in either of these home games.
Yeah, and I actually don't think the Knicks were that terrible last night. That's the crazy. Yeah.
But they shot themselves in the foot. You got to look at it. They cut this to 5 multiple times in the third quarter. They couldn't get, I think, past 8 in the fourth quarter. So they were fighting, but it's the little things. They've cleaned up on free throws. They shot well from the free throw line. I think they have to find ways to steal minutes and stagger the rotations, get a little bit more out of DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, who've been good off the bench and have given them good minutes, particularly defensively. They're going to need an unsung hero. It's going to have to be one of these role players going to step up. They need a good Mikal Bridges game. They need a good Miles McBride game. Deuce has been pretty good in the series and shot the ball pretty well since the Boston series, but yesterday he didn't really have much. He missed some open threes. But I really think the key is taking care of the ball. Taking care of the ball, one, not falling into the trap of playing at the Pacers' pace. The Knicks have to try to dictate this game with their pace. They cannot get into a track meet with the Pacers, especially because they're not as deep. That is a recipe for them losing. And 3 would be something they've done actually the last 2 games, and that's win the rebounding battle. They've done that the last couple of games, but they got to score. That's another thing they didn't do last night. They got some second chance points, and they didn't score off of it. When you get those second chance points, that's like the turnovers for the Pacers. You got to kill them, and they weren't able to do that. So take care of the ball, don't play at the Pacers' pace, and continue to rebound the ball well, and I think they'll have themselves a chance.
All right. I actually do want to get to some Mets and some Liberty in a second, but before then,
yes,
we have a fun segment called Would You Rather, and this is the Would You Rather Cat Edition, Dexter Henry.
No. This could be dangerous.
Would you rather Cat or Miles Turner?
For who? For the Knicks?
So for you, Dexter Henry, you have a team. Would you rather, for your team, who would you rather have on your team? Would you rather Cat or Miles Turner?
I hate to say this, but I think I would probably, as building a team, I lean a little bit towards Miles Turner because he's better defensively. He's not going to hurt me on defense, and he can hit the 3. So if I feel it, depending if I would probably rather have my other scorers at the guard or the wing. If I'm building a team, I prefer a Miles Turner team.
Dexter, we need rapid fire, Dexter. Would you rather Cat or Miles Turner?
Miles Turner.
Would you rather Cat or Sabonis?
Cat.
Would you rather Cat or Chet?
Chet.
Would you rather Cat or Embiid? Would you rather Cat or AD?
Cat.
Would you rather Cat or Alperen Sengun?
Cat.
Would you rather Cat or Jokic?
Jokic.
There you go, Dexter.
I think people will see my logic on that stuff. It's like availability.
I see it. Yeah, you had Chet, right? Yeah, I would definitely.
I thought Chet defense. I value the defense and protecting the rim, and I value
and the malleability that you always talk about. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you predicted the Liberty would win last year, and they did. We had a parade. Will we have another parade, Dexter? Yes. Will the Liberty repeat?
Yes. I do think the Liberty will repeat. I do. I think it's going to be them in Minnesota again in the finals. I really do. Could Minnesota beat them? Sure. I think the Liberty are even better this year.
Okay.
Because I think they're deeper. I think the Natasha Cloud edition was good. And it's scary because they don't even have Benajolani Hamilton. If they had her, I think it's scarier how deep and good their team would be. Natasha Cloud helped getting her with the loss of Benajolani Hamilton. They've got Maureen Johannes, who's back, another scorer off the bench. They've got Kennedy Burke, who's been fantastic to start this year through 4 games, defensively and offensively. I just think they're the deepest team with the most talent. I think they can withstand a couple of injuries through this season. If they're healthy, I don't see anybody beating them. I think there's a world in which they're better than they were last year. I think they actually are better than they were last year because they're deeper than they were last year. And I think they're the best team in women's basketball right now, hands down.
I have to ask you, how many NBA players are more of a household name than Caitlin Clark? I would have to say, Steph, LeBron James, KD.
Yeah.
That might
Giannis.
be it.
You want to say Giannis?
Yeah, Giannis. Go Giannis. I mean, the stars of these series, they're not bigger than her right now. That we have right now, I don't think.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Like, we're talking household name nationally.
Right. Like my mom would know who Caitlin Clark is.
That's how I look at it. That's
Yeah,
exactly how I
she
look at it.
she might not know who SGA is.
She might not know who Giannis is. I think you're right
Yeah.
about that. Now I think about it, because I know some people are going to be like, how does somebody not know who Jokic is? You got to take the fact that you were probably listening to this podcast.
Right.
You're probably an NBA junkie like us.
Right. Like, does your grandma know who this person is? You know?
Yeah, your grandma's probably heard about Caitlin Clark. You're right about that. She knows Steph. She knows LeBron, KD. I feel like those are right. Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. All right.
Caitlin Clark's as big as it gets in basketball, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. What, on your platform, I predicted Juan Soto to the Mets. Queen get the money.
You did.
Queens,
You did. You were on that early.
Queens get the money. But what have you made of this bizarre season from Juan Soto?
I make that it's baseball and it's long. Juan Soto's really talented. I keep saying this, and I've said it on a couple. Juan Soto's the last thing I'm worried about with the Mets. The Mets, as a whole, have not hit well with runners in scoring position. They are still 12 games above 500. They're like, a game out of first place in the East, NL East. I think Juan Soto will be fine. I don't worry. Juan Soto's not the first highly paid player coming off of free agency, particularly with the Mets. I've seen this happen before. We saw it happen with Carlos Beltran when he signed his contract with the Mets. We saw it happen with Mike Piazza when he signed his contract with the Mets, and those guys struggled in their first year.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. He's way too talented. Juan Soto's a generational hitter. Way too talented. And what happened with Mike Piazza and Carlos Beltran? Those guys were fine, and they figured it out. Mike Piazza is one of the great Mets of all time. So is Carlos Beltran. I think Juan Soto will end up being one of the great Mets of all time. I think he'll be fine. I think you'll see him hit better as the season, warms up. I just think there's so much pressure on him because he left the Yankees. And, you and I, we like that. But I'm not worried about him, man. It's weird. Here's the thing about it. This is how you know how good of a player Juan Soto is. He's still getting on base. He still walks a ton. He has quality at bats. He's had a lot of rough luck in terms of hitting hard hit balls that he just hasn't hit them to the right place. I think he'll be fine. I am not worried about Juan Soto.
This is how I feel about Anthony Edwards. Way too much in the moment of saying he's not a superstar, because if you actually watch him play throughout the course of this series, he's growing as a player. Even though SGA right now is clearly the better basketball player, but when you think about it, he's, in my opinion, the most athletic person in sports, and he has a skill set to match. He just needs the right team around him, and he's 23 years old. We know all the greats don't win their first chip till they're like 27. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, but we have this expectation of not we, but people just oh, this person should be doing this by now, right? Or doing this. I love that you said you think he's grown, because I agree with you. I think if you look at let's give credit to OKC. OKC is a fantastic defensive team. They've had the best net rating in the season ever, this year. That's how good they are defensively. He's going up against an all-time great defense. And what I've seen from Ant Edwards in this series, particularly the last game, right? He did not have a great game. I think he had 17 points. He took 16 shots. He was 5 of 16. He's not forcing it, though. That's something I watch in a young player. He didn't force it. He was getting doubled. He was making the right passes. Some of his guys weren't hitting. Some of his guys were. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had himself a pretty good game. Julius Randle did not. There's this, I think we have this old school idea that alpha male, superstar, must take over when it matters in the face of whatever. And it's nah, sometimes you also got to trust your teammates too. There's many different ways to affect the game and play well offensively. I thought he played within what the defense was giving him. He can't do everything. He's going to learn from these moments. I think Anthony Edwards' development has been fine, to be kind of honest with me. He wasn't jacking threes. He wasn't playing outside.
I mean, if he does do that and he doesn't make the right reads, I mean, he'll get that criticism, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought when you look at the game, I think if you know the game, you look at the game, you're yeah, he had 17 points. Yeah, he shot 5 of 16. It's not great. But ask yourself when you watch the game, did he force it? Was he trying to do too much? Did he play his team out of the game? No. I say no to all of that. Would you like him to make more shots? No, but yeah, he's going up against a good defense. He's got to figure things out. He's going to figure this out. He's a damn good player, man.
He's still figuring it out. they said he couldn't shoot that well. He showed you he could be a great three-point shooter. Maybe he could bring the volume down even a little bit now, right? It's just about balancing everything when you talk about a young player like this.
I agree. Balance, reading the game, picking your spots, uplifting your teammates, and is learning it. And I think he wants to, so I don't. He has the want to, so I don't. He'll be fine.
Dexter, great stuff. Thanks to everyone who's listening to this. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening, and share and like this, and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching it there. And Dexter, where can we find you, man? Where can we find you?
Find me on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Follow me at DHenryTV. Check out New York Game episodes every Monday. Also, we're doing live streams during the Knicks playoffs every night. So we're doing one on Thursday, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Check that out. And then also let people know, new show coming up. Met show. It'll be called Straight Outta Flushing. Starts this Sunday, June 1st. So check it out.
See, we previewed that a little bit with the Juan Soto stuff there. You see?
So
Yeah,
I
there we
appreciate
go.
you talking about the
Yeah,
Mets.
yeah.
It'll be good.
Thanks, Dexter. You know you're always welcome back on the show, and talk soon.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.